Welcome to this Conveyancing Matters chat, which we've called Do Clothes Make the Conveyancer? Welcome to Conveyancing Matters with Lorraine and Stu. Join us for a chat about all things property. So, Stu, hello. You've had platyjubes, mate. You've had platyjubes. How are you?
I'm not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, thanks. I thought platyjubes was a really awful phrase until I'd seen it on Twitter about
Horrific.
times. And then I thought it was really funny and I went for it. And then it sounded like something it shouldn't. But maybe plaited tubes is something we can talk about, Stu, because what we thought we'd talk about today, didn't we? And we chatted a bit about off air, is sort of dress standards in conveyancing. Do clothes make the conveyancer? Yeah. I think it's becoming a bit of an issue for firms. And, you know, standards of dress, Stu, I think probably when you and I started, I mean, everyone was expected to turn up looking like you do. Certainly boys, lovely boys were expected to turn up looking like you, suited and booted.
Yep. Yeah. Well, you know, for me, as you've seen from these videos, I'm always sort of wearing a shirt and a tie. You know, that's sort of minimum really, but I'd always be in a suit virtually every day that I come to the office, you know, whatever the weather, whether it's hot or not. But I think it's going to be something that totally divides opinion, because I know here at my firm, there's always a clambering for more dress down and a relaxed attitude to what people are wearing. But I think we've both got an opinion on this one, haven't we?
Yeah, I think so, Stu. I mean, certainly sort of smart dress in the legal office was always the absolute expectation. And certainly when I, started, a billion years ago, before you were born, Stu, when I started in practice, there was always an expectation about, frankly, what everybody would wear. Everybody was expected to look smart, so on. And I just feel that, that has been chipped away at in recent years. And for a long time, we've had either things like, jeans for Jeans Day, of course, or dress down Fridays. I mean, have you ever had dress down Fridays, Stu?
Yeah, I have to admit, we have a dress down Friday. The last Friday of every month is dress down day for us. And we ask the staff to chip in a pound, and that gets donated to charity, all that kind of thing. So we do a bit of it to try and help. We do maybe the odd day if it's to mark an occasion, if it's maybe, I don't know, Guy Fawkes or Valentine's Day, we might do something on the odd other day. But generally here we have a certain standard in terms of the way I'd expect both the males and the females to wear. When I started, it wasn't even a suit. It was, the top button had to be properly done up, certain knot on the tie. Going back to the late 90s, literally it was that kind of regime. I'm not saying now I particularly believe in that, but I do think there's an element of, looking professional, gives the appearance to your clients, especially if they're coming in the office, that you act in that way. And of course, even though we now deal with people so remotely, there's still a big element that do come into the office, and there's a certain image you've got to portray. I do think really, with regards to sort of our fees, stuff like that, we can't harp on about fees being low and then people swanning around in shorts and t-shirts. Surely I think there's an element of having pride in what we do and being professional and looking the part.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I do think, the general attitude has been, and and to be fair, I sort of, I hope that people disagree in a way, but that the
I
way
think a lot. I reckon that it could be 50-50 on this one.
Yeah, it will be interesting. Maybe we should do a poll after we put this out to, shorts and flip-flops in the legal office, yes or no, or in a conveyancing office. But I think there's generally, been, as you say, a sort of the attitude that, a certain way of dressing sort of sets a standard of professionalism. And as you quite rightly said, that was always a very big issue and a very big deal when people were going to come into the office. And of course, I think what's actually interesting about that from a conveyancer's point of view, and this is something that I talk about on other courses too, is that you couldn't sort of say, for example, pre-pandemic particularly, but you couldn't say, well, okay, we'll make all our appointments for Tuesdays and Thursdays and we'll dress down the rest of the week because people won't come in, because of all the practice areas, conveyancing is the one where people generally think it's okay just to turn up at any time without an appointment and be seen. Would you agree?
More than 50% of people that attend the office don't have an appointment. Way more than 50%. And there's people that just will, drop by just to, drop off a contract or a transfer rather than sort of scanning it or putting it in the post. So, I massively think there's a large proportion of people that will visit the office. And I think appearances, do account for a lot. I mean,
it's a bit of a cliche, but you do... You only have the one chance to make a first impression, which is such a cliche, but it's actually true.
But I think from my point of view, there's a number of things you could sort of throw at this, couldn't you? Being clean shaven.
Yeah, I mean, less of an issue for me, obviously now. I mean, I try and keep it down. But
I wasn't talking about myself, but
obviously.
But so is being clean shaven a thing? I'm harping back 25 years, but I'm not sure whether, again, having a stubbly beard would have been that okay.
I think a bearded property lawyer 25 years ago kind of tended to stick out. I mean, we've got the lovely hipsters now who've made it an okay thing and actually can look very tidy and very lovely and have beard grooming kits and it will be jolly marv. I think it's a question of fact and degree, but I think as we were discussing off air, Stu, it's fair to say obviously that lockdown hastened many things and of course, all sort of sitting at home in our Jimmy Jams on Zoom was certainly one of them, and a more relaxed attitude has been allowed to creep in. Whether it's your dog joining into the Zoom or one of your kids walking by or something, and sitting in your PJs in your bottom half, which I may or may not be doing right now, Stu, but I'm not going to tell you, obviously, because I'd have to shoot you. But I think the lockdowns hasten change with the return to office where people are returning to the office. And that also is probably a separate conversation, Stu. But, I think we're seeing fewer clients face to face. So the question is, if people are returning to the office, given that we're going to see fewer people, given that perhaps the expectation over the last couple of years has changed, is it okay to wear jeans and t-shirts all the time? What do your clients think, Stu, as a matter of interest?
I'm not really sure that wearing t-shirts is the one. Maybe no tie could be argued not too bad, but jeans and t-shirt, undoubtedly it's not going to affect the job that the conveyancer does, what they wear, is it? So the clients
some would argue, of course, that they would be able to do it better. So would you feel more relaxed and a little bit freer, sitting there looking gorgeous in your t-shirt, Stu, as you may be now?
Not for me, not really. I don't mind wearing a suit though, so it doesn't bother me. I don't mind a shirt and tie. I kind of feel proud to wear it because you want to give off that professional image.
Well, that does kind of link into a point I was going to make, Stu, about whether you're SRA or CLC regulated. Firms are regulated, and both the SRA and the CLC, do have points in their codes of conduct. The SRA has Principle 2, which says we've got to act in a way that holds public trust and confidence in the solicitor's profession, and the CLC says that we mustn't act in a manner which might bring the legal profession into disrepute. So, you're sitting there in a t-shirt, Stu, but I've got to pose the question, what about vests and tattoos?
Oh, dear. Vests and tattoos.
I've got to say it, mate. Stu, you've got your tats out. You've got your tats out, mate.
Right. You ready then?
I know. We're going to have to put some of that in.
I was going to go and say now, no, surely not tattoos. Tattoos on shows, definitely a thing, you can't do. Yeah. What about piercings?
Don't tell me you've got a piercing to show me, mate.
Can't do that, can I? No, surely not.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, no.
I've got to ask, now that you've got them out for the lads, though, Stu, what are they? What are your tats, mate?
Are we recording this bit now?
Yes.
We can't, surely.
We can. I want to know, what are your tats?
Oh, God. It was back in the day when I thought it was fashionable. There was a cross there. And then when I thought it was fashionable to have a sleeve, I had all sorts of different things done on it and so on and so forth. But yeah.
So,
what was I gonna say?
The question
tattoos on show. Is that a good thing? Surely. Not sure.
It wouldn't be if you've got, bingo wings like I've got, Stu. You can probably get away with it, mate. Probably on the beach in Las Palmas or wherever. But the serious question, really, I suppose, is having frankly loved your tattoos and the thought of you having a piercing that you're going to show the conveyancing world, does the way you're dressed now, could somebody subjectively say the way you're dressed brings the profession into disrepute? Could somebody take that argument?
I think my opinion would be yes.
Yeah, it's a subjective argument, and I think that's probably a really important point to make to people, that this whole issue about professionalism, everybody might love the way you're dressed and nobody might care.
I don't think so. Highly embarrassing.
I love it, Stu. I'm right into it, but that's a different matter altogether. I mean, just for the sake of our lovely audience, I would just like to say that Stu has been changing on Zoom for me off air, so you didn't get to see that, but don't worry. He didn't think I could see him, but you can see the PCS, a bit of perspex in the back there, because I saw everything. It's all right. But, the really important point, I think, from this is, tattoos, piercings, whatever, they're very much a thing now, very much an accepted part of the way people present themselves. Loads of stuff on social media about, you shouldn't be judging me because of my tattoos. But
I think the whole thought process behind tattoos is massively changed, isn't it? I think there was a stigma, but you're talking 25 plus years ago. Now, discreet tattoos that are covered, certainly no problem with them whatsoever. Tattoos on show, depends where they are, don't they? I mean, for me, anything on an arm, not particularly a problem. It wouldn't bother me at all. I think we've got a couple here that might have small tattoos, discreet ones on their hands even. I think anything on the face, maybe I'd worry about, and what a client would perceive, because at the end of the day, we are acting on behalf of our clients, and it's probably what they perceive rather than maybe what I would. Tattoos don't bother me, piercings don't personally bother me, but what do the clients think? That's the important thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and it is. And I think, it's a difficult one for people in the job market these days, particularly the legal job market, to navigate, because I think there is an enormous amount that's absolutely right about people saying, this is me, this is how I'm going to present myself. The fact that I've got a tattoo and a piercing doesn't affect my ability to do my job. I'm completely all for that. But, I think probably, parts of the legal profession are kind of behind the times. But as I say, probably because of the client base and the perception. And of course, there's also that possibility, particularly if lots of firms have got hybrid working, Stu, that, is it fair that the expectation of those turning up to the office, is going to be different?
Yeah. It's a difficult one, isn't it? It really is. What happens if, you need a particular member of staff and you're interviewing and the best candidate turns up, with multiple tattoos, piercings, what then?
I know. I think it's a really difficult one for law firm managers and sort of HR in law firms to actually navigate, to sort of set boundaries, whatever the particular firm thinks are appropriate boundaries. I mean, I might even be getting into employment law issues that I'm not aware of, and that's certainly a possibility. But I think it's a difficult one for firms. I think if people are in any doubt, they should ask. But I think what would be difficult about your scenario, Stu, the perfect persons turn up, with more metal on them than the average AC/DC fan, is if you bring that person into your employment arena who looks, who's allowed to have a lot more tattoos and piercings and so on show than everybody else that you've employed, well, kind of by definition you've set a precedent for everybody else.
Of course.
But so maybe I think it's a thought for law firms, particularly for conveyancing firms. I think our clients are still going to want to sort of see us. And I would love to close this one now, Stu, and ask our lovely viewers the question, you know, do they think of you any differently? Would they think of you any differently if you, you know, saw them in the office and or sat on Conveyancing Matters for the last 2 years dressed like that? Personally, it works for me, mate, obviously.
They would do, won't they? People would, you know, the illusion would be that you're not as professional sitting there in a vest top than you would be in a shirt and tie, surely.
Exactly. And that's my question. I think on that particular sartorial bombshell, Stu, that would be an appropriate.
It'd be interesting to hear what everybody thinks, won't it, on this one?
I completely agree.
So I think it'll be really, really split.
Love to know what people think, and we'll report back. And but I guess that you might not be getting Stu in a khaki vest again. But
No chance. No chance.
Maybe the next Conveyancing Matters live, Stu. That's the next time you have to get your tats out.
You have to get yours out then.
I don't have any. Just like.
Oh, right, okay.
Well, that's a good one, Stu. Thanks ever so much for that, mate. And thanks for what I'm looking at, mate. Is all I can say. Take care.
All right, and take care. See ya.